I'm Ethan, 25, a freelance coder. Yeah, I know, super glamorous. I just kinda chill in the LA burbs, tapping away at my keyboard, making enough to keep the rent paid and the fridge stocked. It's stable, which is exactly how I like things. I built all this myself, from scratch, zero, nothing. After that night, the one when I was 16. God, I still remember it clear as day. The rain wasn't just falling, it was slamming against the windows, drumming a beat that even the thunder couldn't drown out. Boom! Another crack overhead, shaking the whole damn house. Mom, Sarah, was standing there in the living room. Her face, it wasn't angry, not exactly. It was worse. It was just tired, full of something that looked like disappointment, but felt like a deep, deep ache. Richard, my stepdad, he was right beside her, stone cold. His eyes didn't even flicker when they landed on me. "Ethan," Mom started, her voice barely a whisper, almost lost to the storm outside. We can't do this anymore." Richard cut in, his voice flat, emotionless. "You're a problem, Ethan, an uncontrollable kid, and you're not going to mess up our new life." My stomach dropped. Not a pit, more like a sudden, dizzying plunge. I just stood there, soaked to the bone from walking home in the downpour, watching their faces. Richard moved then. He grabbed my arm, his fingers digging in, not hard enough to hurt, but firm, unyielding. He walked me to the front door, the old wood groaning under his hand as he pulled it open. The wind howled in, chilling me right to the bone. He had an old backpack ready, sitting on the porch. He shoved it into my hands, then pressed a few crinkled bills into my palm. My eyes darted from the money to his face, then to Mom's, who was now looking away, her shoulders slumped. "Get out, Ethan," Richard said, his voice a low growl. "Don't come back." Then, just like that, the door slammed shut. The latch clicked, loud and final against the storm, locked. I heard it, felt it. That cold metal sound resonated deep inside me. Standing there, on the porch, the rain plastering my hair to my face, the wind biting at my skin, I felt something shatter. It wasn't just the cold outside, it was the crushing emptiness inside. Like everything I'd ever known, everything I thought I was, just broke. I clutched the backpack, the thin fabric already damp. I remember telling myself, over and over, that I deserved it. Yeah, I was a screw-up. I caused trouble. I was a burden. So, yeah, I deserved it. I lived by that thought for years. It was fuel. That pain, it built me. It made me tough, made me independent. I clawed my way up, learned to code, learned to hustle, learned to rely on nobody but myself. And that's what I am now. Independent, strong, but also, there's this wall, a thick concrete wall between me and pretty much everyone else. No close friends, no serious relationships, just me, my code, and my quiet little life. And I'm good with that, really. It's safe inside this wall. One morning, just a regular Tuesday, I was doing my thing, cleaning up the apartment before diving into a coding sprint. Tidying up, wiping surfaces, making sure everything was in its place. I like order. It keeps things stable. While wrestling with a rogue dust bunny under my bed, my hand brushed against something hard. An old cardboard box. Just a dusty box full of kid stuff. Forgotten junk from another life. Toys I barely remembered, some old report cards, a dried-up flower that must have been from a school project. And there, at the bottom, was an old family photo. It was faded, the colors a bit muted, but clear enough. Me, a lanky, awkward kid with a goofy grin, standing between Mom and Richard. We were in a park, sunlight streaming down, all fake smiles for the camera. Classic. I traced my finger over my younger self, then over Mom's face, a ghost of a smile on her lips. Richard, stiff as ever. But then I noticed something. Right behind us, just at the edge of the frame, there was this shadow. It was tall, too tall, and blurry, not just a little out of focus, like a shaky hand took the shot. This was different. It was like something had been smeared, deliberately smudged, right where a person might be standing. A dark, elongated smudge, barely visible against the trees in the background. My brow furrowed. What the hell? I held the photo closer, tilting it in the light. It looked like a distorted figure. A vague outline of someone watching us, but it was just a blur, a weird, unsettling smear. Old photo, must be messed up, I mumbled to myself. I gave it a dismissive flick, a small, uneasy tremor running through me, but I shook it off. Probably just a glitch from back in the day, when cameras weren't all super HD like now. I tossed the photo back into the box, shoved the box back under the bed, and pretty much forgot about it. Just some old trash from a past I didn't care to remember. A few days later, my phone vibrated on the desk. Unknown number. I picked it up without thinking, half expecting a telemarketer. "Hello?" I said, my voice already bored. Nothing. Just a low, buzzing static. Then a faint, almost imperceptible click, and a dial tone. The line was dead. What the? I pulled the phone away, staring at the screen. The call had ended. I tried calling back, just out of sheer annoyance. "The number you have dialed is not in service," the automated voice chirped. "Please check the number and try again." "Asshole," I muttered, tossing the phone back onto my desk. Seriously, who calls from a disconnected number just to hang up? What kind of messed up prank was that? I shook my head, already dismissing it. Some idiot playing games. Whatever, not my problem. Just a small, stupid blip in an otherwise normal day. That night, it came back. Not the phone call, but the feeling. The dream. I was in a corridor. Long. Endless, actually. Dark. Not just dim, but a thick, oppressive blackness that ate up any light. It felt cold. Bone-chilling cold, even though I was tucked into my warm bed. I couldn't see the end of it, couldn't see the walls, just this infinite tunnel of nothing. And then I heard it. A whisper. Like someone was breathing right next to my ear, but the sound was far away, echoing from somewhere deep within the darkness. It was too soft to make out words, just a faint rustling sound, like dry leaves scuttling across stone. A shiver ran down my spine. The cold intensified. My skin prickled. I bolted upright in bed, gasping. My sheets were tangled around me, damp with sweat. My heart was pounding, a frantic drumbeat against my ribs. I blinked, trying to orient myself in the dark of my room. The walls were there, the window, everything was normal. But the cold, it still lingered. The faint whispers seemed to claw at the edges of my hearing, even after I was fully awake. "Jesus," I muttered, running a hand through my sweaty hair. What the hell was that? Just a dream, a weird, messed-up dream. Probably too much caffeine, or maybe stress from that coding deadline. Yeah, that's it, stress. I swung my legs out of bed, padded to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of ice water. The chill of the glass against my hand felt good, grounding. I chugged it down, then went back to bed, trying to force my mind blank. Ethan's life was still Ethan's life. Nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. Just a bad night, right? So, those next few days? Yeah, things got weird. Not like, oh, that's a quirky coincidence weird. More like, okay, this is actually starting to piss me off weird. Then quickly morphing into, holy shit, what the hell is happening? First, the phone calls. That damn unknown number. It kept popping up. Missed calls mostly, piling up in my log like some digital stalker. Every time I was busy, it rang. Every time I was in the middle of a coding sprint, buzzing on my desk, annoying as hell. But sometimes, when I actually picked up, expecting to cuss out some telemarketer or whatever joker was pulling this prank, nothing. Just that low, fuzzy static, like a broken radio signal. And then, a faint, super faint, almost like someone was holding their breath near the mic, a tiny sigh. Or maybe it was just the static playing tricks. After that, a little rustle, like dry leaves skittering across pavement, or someone whispering from a long, long distance away. Not words, just sounds. And then, dead silence, a dial tone. What the actual fuck, I'd snap, staring at the screen. Seriously, who does this? I tried calling back every single time, out of pure stubbornness. And every single time, I got that automated voice. The number you have dialed is not in service. Over and over. It drove me nuts. After the 5th or 6th time, I just mashed the mute button on my phone, switched off the ringer completely. Not dealing with this bullshit, I muttered, trying to convince myself I was in control. But deep down, a knot started to tighten in my gut. This wasn't just some random idiot. This felt intentional. And the dreams. Oh, those goddamn dreams. The dark corridor. It kept coming back, night after night, like a broken record skipping on the same creepy track. But it wasn't just a blurred, endless tunnel anymore. It was getting sharper, clearer, and worse. I was there again, tangled in the suffocating darkness. That bone-chilling cold was back, seeping into my very marrow. But this time, I wasn't just hearing whispers. This time, I heard footsteps. Thump, thump, thump. Heavy, labored, like something big, something not quite right, was dragging itself forward. The sound echoed from deep, deep within the blackness, getting just a fraction closer with each beat. My heart started doing its own frantic percussion solo against my ribs, keeping time with those distant thumps. My breath hitched. I wanted to scream, to run, but my feet felt rooted to the cold, unseen floor. Then there it was, at the far end of the corridor, barely a smudge against the utter black. Something was standing there. A shape, tall, elongated, not moving, not making a sound now that the footsteps had stopped, just standing, watching, waiting. I couldn't make out any features, but I just knew it was looking right at me. Its presence was a cold weight pressing down on my chest, squeezing the air out of my lungs. It didn't do anything. It didn't move, just waited, like it had all the time in the world, and I was the only thing it cared about. I jolted awake, a strangled gasp tearing through my throat. My body was screaming, every nerve ending firing. My sheets were a twisted mess around me, clinging to my sweat-damp skin. My heart was pounding like a drum solo, a frantic, desperate rhythm. I could feel the cold sweat trickling down the back of my neck, making my scalp prickle. My room was dark, but familiar. The walls were there, the window, everything was normal. But the cold, that wasn't normal. It lingered. The feeling of being watched, of something waiting, clung to the air around me. "Fuck," I whispered, running a hand through my damp hair. This wasn't just stress. This wasn't just caffeine. This was something else. Something definitely not okay. Then there were the little things, the stuff you brush off, right? At first. Like my car keys. I always put them on the kitchen counter, right by the coffee machine. It's my routine. But one morning, they were in the candy bowl in the living room, just sitting there, nestled amongst the M&Ms. I stood there, staring, a weird prickle running down my arms. I started, trying to remember if I'd done something different. Nope, can't remember it. Same with my coffee mug. I'd finish my coffee, leave the mug right next to my laptop on my desk, then get up for a quick stretch. Come back, and boom, mug's in the sink, already rinsed, like magic, or something else. At first, I told myself I was just losing it. Too much coding, not enough sleep, stress, maybe. Yeah, that's it. My brain was just short-circuiting. But when it kept happening, the keys, the mug, a book I'd left open on my nightstand, finding it closed and back on the bookshelf. My headphones, coiled neatly on my desk, showing up draped over my monitor. Small, insignificant things, but they started to add up. Each one a tiny, unsettling whisper in the back of my mind. A cold feeling starting at the base of my spine, slowly, steadily crawling up my back, making my skin feel too tight, like something was playing games or testing the boundaries. One night, I was deep in a coding zone, the blue light of my monitor reflecting in my eyes. The apartment was quiet, the LA night a distant hum outside. And then I felt it, a sudden, sharp drop in temperature. Not just the room getting cooler, it was a cold that settled deep inside my bones, a freezing prickle that shot straight up my spine, like someone had just walked in and stood right behind me, close enough that I could feel their presence, their breath, even though there was nothing there. My fingers froze mid-keystroke. My heart gave a violent lurch. I whipped my head around, fast enough to make my neck crack. Nothing. The room was empty. Just me, my desk, and the soft glow of the monitor. But the feeling didn't go away. It clung to me, a persistent, chilling sensation. Like an invisible pair of eyes were fixed on me, tracking my every twitch, every breath. My scalp tightened. "Shit," I muttered, my voice barely a whisper in the silent room. "I'm seriously getting the creeps now." I stood up, pushing my chair back with a scrape that seemed too loud. I walked around the apartment, checking every single window, every single lock, pulled the blinds all the way down, then pulled the curtains over them, making sure no sliver of light, no hint of the outside world could get in. I tried to talk myself down. "It's just sleep deprivation, Ethan. You're overtired. Your imagination's running wild." But even as I said the words, they sounded thin, hollow. I ended up under my bed again, not for a dust bunny this time, but for that old cardboard box, the one with the family photo. My hands trembled slightly as I dug it out, the dust motes dancing in the dim light. I pulled out the faded picture. That blurry shadow. Behind us. I stared at it, hard, tilting it this way and that, trying to catch it in a different light. Was it a little clearer? Was the elongated smudge slightly more defined? Or was I just imagining things? Was my brain, already frayed from the phone calls and the dreams and the moving keys, finally breaking? I squeezed my eyes shut, rubbing my temples with my thumb and forefinger. I needed a logical explanation, something, anything, to ground me back to reality. But there was nothing, no logical explanation for any of it. The unease in my chest wasn't a tiny knot anymore. It was a growing lump, a heavy, throbbing mass, like something was festering inside me, expanding with every unanswered question, every unexplained event. And the worst part? I couldn't shake the feeling that it was just getting started. "Holy shit, I'm seriously losing it," I kept telling myself that, but deep down, I knew it was past that point, way past. Things had escalated, you know? Not like, oh, I'm just tired anymore. More like, okay, this is actually happening, and my brain is trying to pretend it's not, kind of escalation. Sleep? What's sleep? Every night was a battle against those damn dreams, and every day was a fight to keep my grip on reality. It felt like everything was blurry, like the ground was constantly shifting under my feet. The world just kept tilting, and I was stuck on it, trying not to fall off. One night, I finally crashed, just collapsed onto my bed, exhausted from trying to make sense of the nonsense. The moment my eyes shut, I felt myself drifting, finally, towards some kind of peace. And then, bam, bam, bam! My front door. Someone was hammering on it. Not knocking, man, but just pounding, like they wanted to rip it off its hinges. My heart didn't just beat, it launched itself against my ribs, trying to break free. I shot upright, tangled in my sheets, my whole body just buzzing. Cold sweat immediately slicked my skin. "What the fuck?" I whispered, my voice rough, barely audible even to myself. Who the hell would be doing that at this hour? I mean, it was late, really late, past midnight for sure. I stumbled out of bed, my legs feeling like jelly. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like a gunshot in the dead quiet of my apartment. I crept towards the door, my hand shaking as I reached for the peephole. My eye pressed against the cold metal, peering out into the darkness. Nothing. Just the inky black of the hallway outside. No shape, no shadow, no one, not a damn soul. I swallowed hard, a dry, painful gulp. My breath hitched in my throat. Was I hearing things now? Was that it? Had the sleepless nights and the weird shit finally made me completely lose my mind? I backed away from the door slowly, my eyes still glued to it, half expecting some monstrous face to suddenly press against the peephole. But nothing happened. Just silence. Heavy, oppressive. I turned around, trying to convince myself it was just some drunk asshole, or maybe even a branch hitting the building, though my apartment was on the 3rd floor. I walked back into the living room, heading for the kitchen to grab a glass of water, to try and get my heart rate back to something resembling normal. And then, I stopped. Dead. My eyes landed on the coffee table. All my old photos, the ones I rarely looked at, the ones I'd pulled out that night, the family ones, they were all flipped over, face down, neatly. Too neatly. My breath caught. I didn't touch them. I just stared. Every single one. And then my gaze locked onto that photo, the family picture, the one with the blurry shadow. It was also flipped. My hands started to tremble, just a little at first, then violently. I couldn't stop them. My fingers felt like they had a mind of their own as they slowly, so slowly, reached out and picked up the photo, flipping it over. And that's when my blood ran cold, like someone had poured a bucket of ice water straight into my veins. The shadow, it wasn't blurry anymore, not like before. It was clearer, so much clearer. And it wasn't just a smudge behind us anymore. The shape was more defined, more human, but wrong, so wrong. And the arm, that long, slender, impossible arm, it had moved. It was no longer just lurking in the background. In the picture, in the faded, yellowing photo, that shadow was now reaching out. Its fingers, long and spindly, were pressed right against my back, right where I was standing in the photo, a little kid with a forced smile. What the hell is this? The words scraped out of my throat, barely a whisper. My hand spazzed, and the photo flew from my grasp, clattering onto the hardwood floor. I recoiled, stumbling backward, hitting the armrest of the couch with a sickening thud. The impact jolted through me, but I didn't even feel the pain. My eyes were still fixated on the photo, lying face up on the floor, the impossible arm reaching out to touch my younger self. Just as I thought I couldn't take any more, my phone, still lying on the coffee table where I'd dropped it earlier, started ringing. That damn unknown number. Again. My whole body seized up. I couldn't ignore it this time. Not after all this. This wasn't some random prank. This was connected. I took a shaky breath, trying to steady my nerves, trying to make my hands stop vibrating. It was pointless. Every nerve ending in my body was screaming. Slowly, I reached for the phone. My fingers fumbled, but I managed to pick it up. I pressed the answer button, my thumb feeling numb. And this time, it wasn't static. It wasn't a sigh. It was a sound, a voice, a child, crying, deep, wrenching sobs. "Mommy, Mommy." The voice was so small, so young, so full of desperate terror. It sounded like it was coming from a long, long distance away, but also like it was right there, whispering into my ear, chilling me to the bone. It was like hearing it from another time. And then another sound, a loud crash of thunder. heavy, relentless rain, and then a clear, unmistakable crash. That sound, I knew that sound. It was the sound of a door slamming shut. My door, the door of my childhood home. The sound that had echoed in my mind for 9 years, loud and final. The sound from the night I was kicked out, the night my life had splintered. The phone slipped from my grasp, falling to the floor with a dull thud. I crumpled, sinking to my knees, my whole body shaking uncontrollably. It felt like an electric current was coursing through me, making every muscle spasm. No way, this can't be real. It can't be real. The words were choked, ripped from my throat. It felt like my very foundations were being ripped out from under me. This wasn't just memories. This was happening again? Or was it always happening? I had to get out, right then, right now. I needed air. I needed anything but this apartment, this phone, this horrifying realization. My legs moved on their own, a desperate, clumsy scramble. I half stumbled, half ran out of the door, not even thinking about where I was going. My head was spinning, my thoughts a tangled, frantic mess. The cold rain, the child's cries, the door slamming shut, all of it echoed in my ears, pounding against my skull. I just walked, one foot in front of the other, pushing through the cool night air. My mind was a whirlwind of terror and confusion. Eventually, I found myself in front of the local grocery store, the familiar bright fluorescent lights a stark contrast to the darkness inside my head. Habit, I guess. I always bought my black coffee here. Trying to ground myself, I pushed through the automatic doors, the cheerful chime doing nothing to calm the frantic drum solo in my chest. I moved through the aisles, my eyes scanning without really seeing. My body was still slick with cold sweat, tracing icy paths down my back. My head still throbbed, the phantom sounds of rain and crying and that final brutal door slam echoing. I grabbed a pack of cookies, anything to hold on to pretend I was just a normal guy doing normal grocery shopping. And then a shaky voice cut through the buzzing in my head, pulling me back from the edge of my own personal nightmare. "Oh, dear Ethan, long time no see." I whipped around, my heart leaping into my throat all over again. It was Mrs. Gable, my old neighbor from the old neighborhood. She looked even older now, her hair a wispy white cloud around her head, her movements slow and careful. Her eyes, though, they held a spark of recognition, mixed with something else, something sad. She clutched a bag of vegetables to her chest, looking at me with this mournful, almost pitying gaze. "I still remember poor Sarah," she said, her voice soft, full of distant sorrow. "She cried her eyes out when you vanished from home. They searched for you tirelessly, plastered photos everywhere, before having to move on to forget the pain. So tragic." Her words hit me like a physical blow, like a knife twisting in my gut. Vanished, cried her eyes out, searched tirelessly. Every single word was a hammer blow, shattering the concrete foundation of belief I'd painstakingly built over the past 9 years. Everything I thought I knew, everything I believed about that night. My hands went numb, and the pack of cookies I was holding slipped, falling to the linoleum floor with a soft thump. But in my head, that sound wasn't soft. It was another crash, echoing the door, echoing the thunder, echoing the shattering of my entire world. If I wasn't kicked out, then what the hell was that rainy night? That feeling of being pushed out, of the door slamming in my face, of the cold rain on my skin as I stood there, utterly alone. What was all of it? Who had pushed me out? Why would my own mother believe I had simply vanished? My entire life's narrative, the anger, the self-blame, the hardened independence I'd built myself into, brick by painstaking brick. It all crumbled, like shards of glass scattering across the floor. I stared blankly into the brightly lit aisle, unable to breathe. My world had just flipped upside down, twisted inside out, in one horrifying question that clawed its way up my throat. If that wasn't the truth, then what the hell really happened?